Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our weekly class on spreading more light into the world. We always like to start off with giving because how we give, that's how Hashem's going to give to us. So let's give generously. So Hashem, God, will give us generously. So I'm going to put a couple of coins in the tzedakah box. And we're going to say some Tehillim in a moment, but this is who we're saying Tehillim for. Complete the Shua Shalema for Rachel Bas Chaya Gutta, Chana Yenta Rivka Bas Shendel, Razel Bas Hadas, Rafal Chaimer Ben Simachasha, Yosef Ben Devora Leah, Bela Bas Chaya, Chana Leah Sarah Bat Pesha Gittel, and all who needs. We're also going to be saying Psalms tonight for IDF.
Yes. I thought we can say
for Chayalim tonight, Yisrael Ephraim ben Chaya Tzivya, and Reuven ben Nechama Dina. Reuven Chaim ben Nechama Dina. They're both in Gaza right now, and this is including all of the soldiers. Those are just two names that I do know offhand. I also dedicate this class weekly in memory of my dear grandmother, Rivka Dina Bas Yosef Yehuda. I hope you're proud. And in honor of my great uncle, Chaim Dover ben Betzalel Wolshansky. To save a life is saving a world, and he saved many in the Soviet Union. So I hope his neshama has the highest aliyah. And I'm also dedicating this class tonight in memory of my dear grandfather. His yahrzeit is actually tonight and tomorrow. Shimon ben Yeshaya Meshulam Zusha. His neshama should have the highest aliyah. And I hope he's proud, and I hope we get to see him so soon with the coming of Mashiach. And a little bit later in the program, we're going to share about his life. We're going to say Tehillim together, Psalms 20. We're going to pull it up on the screen, so please say it from home. Okay. Lamnatseach Mizmar LeDavid Yancha B'Yam Tzara Yisagecha Shem Elohei Yaakov Yishlach Ezracha Mikaidesh Umitziain Yisadeka Yiskar Kol Min Chaisecha Veilaska Yidashna Sela Yitain Lacha Chovavecha Vechol Atascha Yimale Niranina Bishua Secha Uvishem Eloheinu Nidgal Yimale Niranina Bishua Secha Yimale Adonai Kol Mishal Secha Ata Yadaiti Ki Haishia Adonai Mishichai Yanehu Mishmei Kachai Biglures Yesha Yaminai Ela Varecha V'Ela Vasosim Ba'anachnu B'Shem Adonai Eloheinu Nazker Hema Karo V'Nafalu Ba'anachnu Kamu V'Nisaded Adonai Haishia Hamelach Yanenu B'Yam Karenu. I just want to say that it's very interesting that I planned the classes in advance with the speakers. And I asked Leah, Levin, Yechielov to speak about the Soviet Union in communist Russia. And it turned out that it's on the week of my grandfather's yahrzeit. And what's interesting is this speaker is very connected to my family because she's actually a distant cousin. And my grandfather, Shimon Stillerman, he passed away tonight, and I feel very connected to him because I was born on the same day that he was born, Beishvat. And his entire family was murdered in Baba Yar. He came home from yeshiva, and they said, there's no need to go home. There's no one home, no one. And he found a distant relative, and they took him in, and Leah's family took in my grandfather. And it turned out that this week, she is the guest speaker. So we changed the date of the class that we can do it on my grandfather's yahrzeit, which is tonight. And what we do down here, it's like a mirror. So right now we're elevating his neshama, talking about his family. And we're going to hear tonight, Leah's going to share with us stories in the Soviet Union. She actually lived it and experienced it. And we want everyone to understand what it was like in Russia. So Leah, I'm so lucky to have you. You're such a dear person and a friend. And when I see you in the street, you always just make everyone feel good, especially me. and it's just like a warm feeling. I feel like we're family, and I'm very excited to share you with everyone tonight. So if Leah, if you can please unmute yourself, and we're so excited to hear your stories about living in Russia and your family stories.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Chaya, for inviting me. I'm so excited to share my stories. It's real life in the communist Russia. So I was born in the Soviet Union under the communist regime. When I was born, it was already the communist. It was over 100 years ago when the communist regime began. They closed all the Jewish institutions, like synagogues and yeshivas, schools, mikvahs, everything. So that time, the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak Schneerson, he announced that we have to go to put our lives even in danger, just to keep Yiddishkeit, Judaism alive. And this is what we did. So when my father was born, he also went to the underground yeshivas that the emissaries of Chabad made it. It was in different cities and different years. It was like going from one place to another place. Now I want you to understand that a yeshiva over there, a school, wasn't like here for 1,000 boys or even 100 boys. The whole yeshiva was 8 or 10 boys in one place. In the other place was another 8 or 10 boys, because they didn't want to make a lot of boys in one place that the neighbors shouldn't see and shouldn't give over to the government that something is going on in this house. So my father learned in such a yeshiva. Then when he got married, my mother lived in Odessa, and in Odessa was no mikveh. Whoever used the mikveh, they went to the Black Sea. So my mother, she was only 17 and a half years old when she got married. She was very young, and she was afraid of water. Her mother and her older sister took her to the Black Sea, and her mother explained her exactly how she has to lay down, and the wave will come up and will cover her, and this will be the tefillah. This will be the immersion in the mikveh. But as my mother was seeing that the wave is coming, such big, such high wave, she was afraid that she jumped up. And she tried again and again and again. And every time she saw the water coming on her, she just jumping up, and until she came out of the water, she started crying to the mother and said, "Let's go home, cancel the wedding." You see, I cannot do it. But as you see, she did immersion in the Black Sea, and she got married. My father then lived in Leningrad, State Petersburg now, and my mother moved there. In Leningrad, there was an underground mikveh, one like in the end of the city, and there wasn't a lot of people using this mikveh. There was maybe 10 families that used the mikveh. So usually the water was cold, and whoever has to come, let's say today, so a day before, came to this place, to the old couple that lived there, and told them that I have to come tomorrow, please warm up the water. There was no telephones. One time happened that there was 4 ladies, my mother, Sarah Levin, another lady was Shula Kaizen, another one was Sarah Morozov and Sarah Volosov, and Sarah Rappaport, 4 of them. They met together, they took a car service, and they went to this place. When they knocked on the door, the person opened the door and he saw them. He said, like, why no one of you came to tell me that you are coming? I didn't warm up the water. The water is freezing cold. It's winter. Winter in Leningrad is like winter. It's very cold. It's a lot of snow. I will not let you in. If something will happen with you, I cannot even call the ambulance. What will I do with you? I will not let you in. Just go home, come tomorrow, I'll warm up the water. Now, halachically, you're not allowed to push off even one day. If you have to come today to the mikvah, so you have to come today. They start begging and asking, please let us in, we'll try. He didn't want to listen even to them. So then one of the ladies said, you know what, fine, we'll come tomorrow. Just let us in now, and we want to touch the water, like to see how cold is it, and then we'll come tomorrow. He believed them. No, all the 4 women, they didn't have even in mind to come tomorrow. They just wanted that he should let them in. They went in, they came down, and my mother was telling me that when she started going down, she put one foot in the water on the first step, and she felt like needles coming into her skin. She was waiting for a little while until, if you can say, she got used to. Then she put the other foot. She was waiting again. Then she went down one step lower, one foot, another step, and again one foot and one foot, until she came all the way down in the freezing cold water. And then you have to immersion to go under with your whole body and with your head. And all 4 ladies, they did go in this cold water. And when they came home, and no one of them even got sick, even got a cold or something from this water. This was her first experience after she got married in Leningrad. My father always, wherever he went to look for a job, he asked first that I have to have a day off for Shabbos. If I can have the Shabbos day off, then I'm taking the job. So if the manager agreed, he started working. If not, he went to look for another job. One time happened that he was working. The KGB was looking for him a lot of times. They took him once, they spoke to him, they let him go. It's a long story. But also, after they got married, my parents, they didn't have children for 13 years. My mother went to different doctors, and every doctor was saying that you're fine, everything is good, just wait, you'll have children. And but she couldn't wait another year and another year and another year. After 12 years of waiting, they have some opportunity to write a letter to the Rebbe. The Rebbe was then in United States, in America, in Brooklyn, and to write a letter from Russia to Schneerson, Brooklyn, you can get right away to go to jail. So they didn't want to write in the mail. Then when they have an opportunity to send to someone, they send to Israel, and from Israel, the friends send here to the Rebbe, and the Rebbe gave a brocha that they will have children, in plural. And a year later, my mother gave birth to twins, to me and my brother. So as soon as we was born, now my mother had another challenge. Because in Russia, you must to send your children to school. If you're not sending to school, it means you don't know how to educate your children, and the government can even take away the children, and they will educate them. So to school you have to send, but what are you doing about Shabbos? Because of this, my mother started taking us as we was little to a doctor and telling different stories. Like she couldn't sleep at night, it was hard to breathe, the heart was pumping, she had fever, she had a stomach, all different kind of stories. The doctor believed, because first of all, which mother will say a lie about her children? If she is telling about the child, so it means it was true. So the doctor every time just wrote in the note in the book, and when it came the time to go to school, so we had a whole big case by the doctor that me and my brother are very, very weak and very sick. When we came to school, so yeah, before we came to school, when we was 5 years old, 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 policemen came into our house. They start searching the whole house, every corner, every book, everything. I remember the whole picture like now in front of my eyes. And after a few hours of searching, they took my father with them. They took my father and they gave him 10 years in prison. But it's not just in prison to sit and watch TV. Over there in prison, you have to work, like a hard labor. They was building buildings, building stadiums. My father didn't eat anything in jail because it's not kosher. The only thing he was able to eat there was a slice of bread that they was giving only 1 slice in the morning, 1 slice for lunch, and 1 slice in the evening, and drinking plain water. Even the soup with barley he didn't eat over there because it wasn't kosher. We was allowed to bring, like to every prisoner was allowed to bring once a month 5 kilos, like around 9 pounds probably, of food. So the food that he brought from home, this is what he ate until it's finished. And then he was again of the bread and water. One time happened that with him in the same jail was another prisoner, also a Jewish guy, but he was secular. He didn't keep Torah and mitzvot. He came out much earlier than my father, and he came to us to give regards for my father. So he was telling such a story that one time his wife also brought him food, like to everyone. And there was potatoes in the peel even, not without peels, just cooked potatoes. So he came over to my father and asked him, he told him, please, I just got food from home. I'm eating here also. I have a lot of food. Please take the 2 potatoes. So my father was telling, no, I'm fine. I'm good. I'm not hungry. And he was asking again and again and again until he told him, but I'm not giving you meat. It's just potatoes. Why can't you take it? So my father answered, it's just potatoes, but it was cooked in your pot. And because his pot is not kosher, he didn't took even the few potatoes. He was in prison for all the 10 years. He came out after 10 years. Now, when we start school, my father was in jail, was in prison. So my mother the first year we start not going Shabbos. Baruch Hashem, thank God, I finished high school and I didn't come even one Shabbos for all the 11 years to school. So in the first class, my mother was telling, like, taking off Friday and Shabbos. Sunday there is a day off, and come to school Monday. Sometimes we took off Shabbos, Sunday, and Monday. Sometimes we took off like a whole week, from one Shabbos till after the other Shabbos. And every time we have to go to the doctor and bring a note that we are sick. Otherwise, they will not accept us to school. So this was we did. When we came to the second grade, my mother asked the doctor, please give a note that they need another day off because they're so weak. You see how much they was missing in this year's school. So please give them a note that they need another day off. So the doctor gave. My mother came to school. She gave the note to the director, and it was excellent. Like Shabbos, we was home, the second and third grade. In the fourth grade, came a new teacher, and she started screaming in front of all the goyim, we was only me and my brother, 2 Jewish children, not only in the class, in the whole school. So the teacher starts screaming like loud in front of the whole class. Look at them. They are not sick children. They're not coming to school on Shabbos because it's Shabbos, because they're religious. A lot of time the teacher called my mother to school and also asked her why they're taking Shabbos. She was saying, but you see, they sick children. They need another day off. So take Wednesday. Why are you taking Shabbos? So my mother explained that if she takes Wednesday, we cannot really do anything in one day here, one day there. If we have 2 days in a row, like Friday afternoon after school, she's taking us, because we lived in the city, so and it's a lot of pollution. So she's taking us after school to the suburb of Riga, of the city that we lived, and she has a friend over there. And there we, for the whole 2 days, Monday morning, she's taking us back and bring us to the school. So she knows that we rested and we can continue learning. One time, the director of school called my mother and asked again the same questions. Why are children not coming Shabbos to school? So she said, but they have they need a day off. They have a note from the doctor. He said, yes, I know, but I heard that it's because of religious. Is this true? So my mother couldn't say yes, but she didn't want to say no. So she answered, is there in our time religious people? She asked me the question.
When are you having the telephone meeting? I don't know.
So the director looked at her and said, okay, if it's not because of religious, then they can continue not to come Shabbos to school. In the meantime, my father was in jail, and after he was 7 years in prison, they made a new rule that whoever is more than over half of the sentence in prison. So my father has 10 years. He was already 7 years. So they made, like in the forest, far from the city, in a forest, a space that over there he can be without looking after him. There was only one soldier that was for all the prisoners. And even the family can come there. We can rent a room or apartment over there in the forest and live together with the father. So this was exactly after we finished the 4th grade. My mother took us and we went to the place where my father was. She found out where the nearest school is. The nearest school was an hour and a half to go by car till the nearest school. There was no buses because it was in the forest. There was only a truck that was taking the prisoners to work and bringing them back to this place. So my mother took us. We went with this truck with the prisoners. We came to the school, and my mother told the director that because our father is now here, we want to live with the father, and please take them, accept them to your school. So the director said, okay, but I have one problem. Because the dormitory is full, I don't have place for them. So my mother said, it's okay. If you will accept them, they're ready to travel every day back and forth just to live with the father. The truth, she didn't think about even to give us to this school and to be to live there in the dormitory. Why? Because if we will be in the dormitory, it's even harder because of not kosher food and against Shabbos. My mother just need a note from this school that this school is accepting us. So when she took the note and came to our old school and was telling the director that now we are going to live with the father and the children are going to learn in this school, so he believed her. And only because of this letter, we was able to stop the school that we was attending. And the whole year we were sitting just home, trying that the neighbor shouldn't see that we are here, not in the school. And the super asked a few times through the year, he asked my mother, where are your children learning, which school? And every time she mentioned the school that is next to my father. But thank God, Baruch Hashem, that probably no one called the school because it was quiet by us. Nobody bothered us about school. Then after a year, my mother found a school in the evening that it was only twice a week. We was attending school and we learned in the house. And over there, I finished the high school. My mother was saying that it was very hard not to go Shabbos in school. Even a lot of religious families, they send the children to school, but without, let's say, a briefcase. Or they put a band-aid on the hand, they should not be able to write a Shabbos. Or different, like something thinking about not to do what you're not permitted on Shabbos, but go to school. My mother was saying it's not such a thing. Because if you put 1 foot lower, you will go more and more. We have to go only higher. And if we do what Hashem wants, Hashem always will help us. And this is what happened. Now, my father was in jail because he was making a minyan, like he opened a shul, to learn. He learned Torah over there. He davened, like he prayed, and he was also a shoichet. He was like slaughtering animals. This was the reason why they took him to prison. The same time, when we was home, my mother took a teacher that he used to come every day to our house, and he was learning Torah with me and with my brother. The super, a lot of time, ask us, who is this man that comes to you? So we used to answer, he is our grandfather. So why is he coming every day? What is he doing with you every day? He was saying he comes to help us with our homework. Because in Russia, there is a lot of homework they give. So he's coming to help us. When it was after my brother's bar mitzvah already, in Samarkand, there was a yeshiva, underground yeshiva. But was very, very secretly yeshiva. So the man who was in charge in this yeshiva, he came to our city, to Riga. It was very far. It's like you have to take a plane from Riga to Moscow for 1 hour, from Moscow to Tashkent for 6 hours, and from Tashkent to Samarkand, another hour. So this man came to us and he asked my mother if she's willing to send the son to the yeshiva. My mother said, yes, it's a dream of my life. So he said, but you have to accept whatever I will tell you. You will not be able to speak to him, no phone calls, no writing letters. Why? Because phone calls the government was listening to, and the letters they used to read them. You will not know where he lives, where he sleeps, and where the yeshiva is, the address. No name, no address. You just know that he's going to Samarkand, the city. That's it. If you agree to this, I'll take him. So my mother said, yes, I want to send him to a yeshiva. So he took my brother. He was 14 years old. He traveled by himself because he wasn't allowed to travel with someone because no one knew that there is a yeshiva in Samarkand. By the way, until very late, I couldn't even say the name Samarkand because it was so dangerous to pronounce this name. If I wanted to say Samarkand, I would say Middle Asia, but not the name Samarkand. Now, he came to this yeshiva. In this yeshiva was eight boys. And when he came, he was told, like, from now on, your name is not Moshe, your name is Chaim. You're not from Riga, you're from a different city, and they gave him an address. He should remember where he is from. Now, why they did so? Because if the KGB will stop a boy in the street, or they will come to this yeshiva, and they will ask someone, tell me, who are your friends? What are their names? Where are they from? If they don't know where they're from, they will not be able to find this boy, and they will not be able to find the family. This is how secretly the yeshiva was. The boys in yeshiva was not allowed to go outside. The neighbor shouldn't see that there are boys more than the family has children. They was just allowed 12 o'clock at night, when everyone is sleeping, to go outside, just breathe with the air, and come back only one boy, one by one, not two together even. When the place, we lived there in Riga, as I said, there was also Chabad people, like religious people in Riga. Nobody knows that he went to yeshiva. When they ask, where is your son? So we were saying that because less than a year, when my father was in prison, they sent him to Siberia. So we were saying that he went to my father to be together with him. And even because everyone knows the date when my father is coming back from prisoner, so we knew that everyone will come to the train station to greet him. My brother came a day before. He came home from yeshiva. He went onto that same train that my father was on it, like a stop before Riga. He went to the train until he found the father, and when the train stopped at Riga, both of them came out together. Because all the people, whoever will come to greet my father, should see that this was true, that my brother was by him, not in a yeshiva. There was a shul, in Riga was a shul, but in shul was a lot of people that from the government. They was going and telling to the KGB everything, everyone, the names, who is coming, what they are doing. So usually we used to make like a minyan to daven on Shabbos. On Saturday, we used to daven in a house, that everyone should be able to come, especially for young boys. Some was in college and they want to continue college. So they used to make like a minyan in a house. When we light Shabbos candles, we used to close the window, that no one should see from outside that we are lighting Shabbos candles, and to make Kiddush on Shabbos. With kosher food, there was no kosher food in the store. Challah, cake, whatever baked stuff, we used to bake at home ourselves. Dairy stuff, my mother used to go to a place that she has a cow and take like Jewish milk, and in the house she used to make cheese and butter and so on. About a chicken, so there was once a week a live market, like all live animals you was able to buy there. So my mother used to go to this market once a week, take a chicken. Now when my father was home, so he used to shecht. When my father was in prison, she went to where the shul was, where the synagogue was in Riga. There was also a shochet to slaughter the animals. She went over there and came home with a whole chicken. We used to take off, I myself used to take off the feathers from the chicken, to cut in half and to look over all the inside, like if it's kosher, if nothing is there, not kosher. And then we used to make kosher the chicken, to put in water and to salt it. And only after this, we had the kosher chicken to eat. Else. In Tashkent, there was such a mikveh that in a house, in a dining room, you come in, you don't see anything. If you have to use the mikveh, you have to push away the table, take off the carpet from under the table, open the door in the floor, and go down to the mikveh. And when anyone would come in, they wouldn't see anything, because it was covered with a carpet and with a table in the middle. And from all the generations that lived in Russia, every time, there was the people who was able to keep Taras HaMishpocha, to keep family purity, and to go into mikveh, and to keep Shabbos and kosher. Thank God, Baruch Hashem. I want also mention that Chaya's grandfather, the Zayde, that is the Yorsi tonight, is a cousin of my father. So we are very close, like Chaya said before, we are very close with Chaya, with her mother, and all her aunts. So Chaya, you want to open for questions?
Wow. I just want to say it's just unbelievable how the Jewish people had to live and in certain places still have to live like this in secret. And it just makes things, you understand, like our grandparents, how they were. I know with my grandmother, she always wanted her curtains to be closed, even living in America, because she still had the fear of what the communists did to them under this crazy, it wasn't, you couldn't just be Jewish outwardly. Like in order to go to school and not have to write on Shabbos, like my grandmother used to cut her own finger. She literally cut her finger that it was so deep that she couldn't write. And that wasn't just my grandmother, it was so many Jewish people. And then there were so many Jewish people that, like, unfortunately, like Torah and mitzvos got lost because it was just very hard, and we can't judge them for it. And they're slowly coming back. So I actually would like, thank you for sharing, Leah, all those wonderful, amazing stories. And it's incredible that your family was able to live and keep Torah and mitzvos under all those circumstances, because it's like living in fear, like your landlord, like you have to keep lying and telling him things. And I just want to say, like, I want to give a big shout out to your parents for taking my grandfather in during this time when his whole family was murdered in Babi Yar, and he took him into his house, and taking in guests, it was literally not so simple, because then the government can come after you, like, because everyone was on the run, and it was like not allowed to have someone living in your home that wasn't your own child. So they literally did a huge service to my grandfather. My grandfather, Shimon ben Yeshaya Meshulam Zusha, his neshama should have the highest aliyah. He didn't have an easy life. But one thing that you were saying is about setting up underground schools. He was one of the people that set up underground yeshivas, and the KGB was constantly looking for him. And anyone that took him in was in danger. So your family was in danger for taking him in. And I'm going to tell you a couple of stories in one moment. My grandfather's last name was Shimon. His name is Shimon Stillerman. And like I said in the beginning, I feel very connected to him. I didn't have the merit of meeting him because he passed away 2 weeks before I was born, but we shared the same birthday on Beis Shvat. And I wanted so badly to honor his neshama. Before I tell you a little bit about him, some more about him, we're going to do a little roll call. And if anyone would like to write in the chat box your name and where you're from, totally do that now. But we have 80 ladies on tonight. That's 80 mitzvos that we can do in his memory. And my grandfather, I'm going to tell you a little later of the things that he kept, but he was so into keeping Torah and mitzvos. So I'm going to ask everyone, if they can do something in his honor that really will elevate his neshama, because he kept Torah mitzvos in ways that were very, very hard. And if we can do something a little bit more than we did yesterday in his merit, and you can send it to me, I would love to get 80 messages because we had 80 people on this class to elevate his neshama. So tonight we had Mexico, Cedarhurst, Staten Island, Israel, Toronto, Canada, Morristown, Crown Heights, Far Rockaway, Baltimore, Sheepside Bay, California, Queens, Brighton Beach, Miami, Minnesota, and so many other places, Chicago, so many other, Australia. It's incredible how Brooklyn, it's incredible how literally, like, today's day, we can connect from all around the world. It's Mashiach's times, Toronto, and so many more places. So I'm going to pull up the screen. We're going to pull up the screen of my grandfather so you can visualize his face while I share with you something that, well, before we do that, we're going to share a quick video of Leah's brother going past the Rebbe. So give us a moment while we
Can
pull
I
up the-
say just a few words before you put in the video
Sure,
about my brother? Because when
sure.
we came here, he became an emissary now of the Lubavitcher Rebbe. He has a Beit Chabad in Brooklyn, Kensington area, and he was going a lot of times to Moscow. And one time when he came, like every time when he went there and back, he went by the Rebbe. And this was the video was with one man that he came from Moscow, and my brother went by the Rebbe with this man.
So we're going to now pull up the video. Not this video. Not this video. Give us a moment. We're going to put, that's going to be a little later.
Das ist der Karte von Moshe Goyer von Jerusalem. Er ist gekommen von Moskвы, и ясно попал зurück in Russland.
Я хочу попросить у Бога только одного, чтобы Миша мой, который через 3 поколения неверующим, сейчас стал верующим, работает в центре иудаизма в Иерусалиме, чтобы ему принес Бог счастья, и чтобы мы могли сейчас видеться, как мы сейчас видимся и в Москве, и здесь в Нью-Йорке, и в Иерусалиме, чтобы было так и лучше.
Все это было в добрый час, и в мире все больше и больше. В России говорят все выше и выше.
Спасибо.
Вы знаете об этой песне?
Конечно.
нужно-
Я знаю, но я теперь резко пою.
Надо, чтобы было все выше и выше во всем, что касается еврейства. Здесь и там. Всюду здесь. Это вы
Спасибо.
дадите на руки для него. Всюду здесь.
Wow, thank you for sharing. So he was so concerned about his family that they'll keep Torah mitzvos. So incredible. We're gonna share a picture now of my grandfather while I read something I wrote about him. So give us a moment while we pull up the screen so you can visualize who my grandfather was. Okay. So imagine you're away for a shiva or seminary or college abroad. You come home for a break to find your house empty, your block empty of people, just silence. Someone you know approaches you and says, "No need to go home. There is no one there. They are all gone. They were all murdered." So alone he left, without no one, not his mother, not his father, not his sister, not his brother, not his bubby or Zadie, alone. Not his nieces or nephews or cousins, he went alone. He was alone. Imagine what that can do to a person, to be alone and not have anyone. I can't. My family is everything. My parents, my siblings, my nieces, my nephews, my cousins, everything. How does one go and move on? I'm not sure. I hope I never have to ever know. But look what he built, his own family. He didn't talk much, I was told. But do we blame him? He just lived like a Jew, a religious Jew, quietly living his life, raised Jewish children, and has today so many grandchildren and great-grandchildren. But we must talk about it. We must honor what he did despite losing his entire family. He got up in the morning. He supported his family. He fed his family. He kept his faith. I felt I needed to share tonight. I share my grandfather's birthday, same birthday as my grandfather, Beishvat. So we have a stronger connection. He passed away 2 weeks before I was born. My grandmother told my mother, oh, okay. So Zadie Shimon didn't have his family, but we all do. Let's be kinder and nicer to our family. Let's show up for our family. Let's reach out more to our family. We must cherish it. We must be grateful for what we have. Imagine if he didn't wake up and decided to give up, we all would not be here. I would not be here. We are all here, my family, because he didn't give up and he did his best. I wish I knew more about my Zaidi Shimon and his family, but what I do know, he was a God-fearing Jew. He was a simple Jew, a learned Jew, an honest Jew, and he was one of the only religious Jews in Sydney, but he didn't give up on his Yiddishkeit, not for no one. He didn't give in to any outside influences. He kept his standards to the fullest. I truly believe Sydney, Australia is the flourishing Jewish community today because my grandfather Shimon planted a seed, and now there's a beautiful garden full of Jewish life. So we're going to take off the picture now, and I'm going to share what we're going to now, before we share some more stories, I want everyone to sing from home, stay muted. We're going to put on a video of my grandfather, of the Rebbe, singing a song that's very appropriate now for Ani Mamin, for all the Jewish people lost and perished in the war, and perished even today. We could feel what it's like, Soviet Union. It's happening now in the world. We're seeing so much anti-Semitism, and we're going to all sing together for their souls, my family's souls from Babi Yar that I never had the merit of meeting. They were Chernobyl Hasidim, and my grandfather left to Lubavitch to learn, and that's what saved his life. So we're now going to pull up the screen of Ani Mamin. Thanks for sharing. So I'm going to tell you a couple of stories about my grandfather and how he survived. They were searching for him. He was always on the run because he did the underground schools, and also they knew everyone. And he also he didn't register for the army. So they were constantly looking. So we're going to see some crazy miracle stories. This is a miracle story that we shared before on the class, but I'm going to share it again because I feel like it's a very special story. So my grandfather, on every single corner, street corner, they were policemen and communists, and they were also informers, people that informed on people that some were Jewish and some that dressed like Jews. And you always had to be careful, and you never know who was a spy. So my grandfather was walking in the street and someone stopped him and they said papers, and that meant life sentence in prison, and he didn't have papers. And all of a sudden a chassid, Bensi Shem Tov, came along and he started to hug the policeman. He was very courageous, and he pretended he knew this man, and he started to hug him and kiss him. And he said, "My dear friend, I didn't see you in so long." He was so convincing. He literally went like this to my grandfather and shooed him away to run. My grandfather ran away. When this officer realized what this man did, this chassid did, Bensi Shem Tov, he started to scream at him, "You're going to be locked up." So he said to him, "How are you going to look? If you take me into your friends, they are going to all laugh at you that you missed the opportunity to arrest Shimon Stillerman, who you're looking for." And he gave him a couple of rubles and he bought it, and thank God he let him go because he didn't want his ego to be ruined. So that's one story. Another story, my grandfather, they came in looking for him. And my grandfather, he was in a home, like he went from home to home. And my grandfather realized, what should he do? And he just decided he's going to walk out as if he was like on his way out of the house. And that's what he did. And they literally didn't realize he just sprang out of the house as if that's what he was meant to be doing. And Hashem saved him. There was another story how he was in a home and they came looking for them, and there was a bunch of people sleeping, and they lifted his face up, and they had the picture in front of them, and they said, no, that's not him. He looks too old. Again, he got saved by God. There was another time that he was in a home and he didn't know what to do because they came in looking for him. So what he did was he just turned his head into the wall, and they literally passed by him as if they didn't see him. So it's almost like something happened from above, that like an angel came and protected him because they didn't see him. Then there was another story. This is the last story I'm going to share. My grandmother, may she be well, Bela Baschaya, had a strong intuition one night that she should leave where she was staying. And my grandfather's like, it's the middle of the night, I'm not going. And she goes, if you don't want to come with me, that's okay, but I am leaving. I'm not staying here. And they left in the middle of the night. They just literally left all their stuff. I mean, the little things that they had, and they left. When they came back the next day, the landlord was so worried, a Jewish woman. She goes, where were you? I thought they took you away. They came looking for you. Again, he was saved so many times. So there was definitely like a higher force looking out for him, for sure, his parents and his family, but they never caught him. And he went to Sydney, Australia after from Russia, because my grandmother's parents went as well, Betzalel and Chaya Volshansky. But what's interesting, they ended up in Melbourne, and then my grandmother ended up in Sydney with my grandfather, and she didn't realize that it was so far. But you didn't have a choice. Like, my grandfather ended up giving his papers to someone else, another man, and he kept his name Stillerman, and he resided in Crown Heights, and he was in Sydney, and in Sydney, Australia, it was very hard. And the family was saying how yesterday we gathered together and had a Malava Malka in his honor. And they were saying how either people like respected him, or they used to throw things at my grandfather because he was the only religious looking Jew in Sydney, Australia. But he didn't care. He was so careful with every single mitzvah. In fact, we heard a few weeks ago, my cousin shared love languages, and she shared about my grandfather when he prayed to God. One of his prayers of Kriya Shema, I believe, it took him about 45 minutes to say the prayer. And this was witnesses of people in the congregation. And he said every word, and he really meditated on every single word that he said. He was also a shochet, and he was very particular in keeping every single law of kosher. And he should just come back with Mashiach, because I have so many questions to ask him. When his family was murdered, unfortunately, like, you know, in those days, it was harder to get information out of our loved ones. And people didn't want to ask because they didn't want to hurt his feelings. So we know nothing about his family, very, very, very little. But the things that we do, it doesn't matter. The things that we do know, it trickles down. It's in our DNA, and we get to see who his family was. In all my mom and her siblings, they're all so wonderful, and they should have healthy, long lives, and they should have nachas from their children and grandchildren. And he has beautiful offsprings, and this all comes from his Mesiras Nefesh, because he could have chose, you know, not to do all the things that he did. You know, he could have said, you know, I'm done with all this. You know, look what you did, God. I mean, not you, but my family was murdered. I don't have anyone left in the world, and I'm done with Yiddishkeit. But no, he kept it really strong, and I'm very grateful to him for doing this. And I hope his neshama has the highest aliyah, and I hope he's proud of all of us, and I'm sure he is. And like they say, may he be a good to better. May he send all the good things for our family, and may we merit to have Mashiach immediately. So I want to say thank Leah. It's so appropriate that you spoke tonight. Your family took my grandfather in, and as soon as I realized that we have a connection, we just clicked. Like, we are besties. We see each other on the street. We love each other, and we're not such close cousins. Like, we're pretty far, but we feel very close. And it was just incredible to hear all these stories, because, you know, when we hear these stories, it really teaches us that, like, in today's day, that we should be proud Jews, and we should wear our Jewishness outside, and we should do more. We should do it for our ancestors who risked their lives in communist Russia, and who, it wasn't easy to keep Shabbos and kosher and Shabbos, and everything was in secret, and going to the mikvah. It was literally, like you said, freezing cold temperatures, but people did it to keep the family life alive. And I hope we can learn from all these stories, and I hope you enjoyed it. And we're going to continue to bring these stories to life that we can hear. And it's just very, very important to hear stories. Tonight is Crystal Nacht, and we're not meant to learn Torah, but it says that you could hear Hasidic stories, which we did tonight. And why do I do stories? The cluster stories. I feel like it's the best way of learning. You know, it's like, you know, I'm getting such amazing feedback, and we love feedback. I would also like to thank a few people on this class. Firstly, I would like to thank the Rebbe and Hashem for giving me the opportunity of doing this class weekly and sending me the most amazing speakers. So thank you. I want to thank Shandy Jacobson, my mentor for the class. I'm so thankful to her. So thank you for doing, doing that. I want to say thank you to all the ambassadors of the class. An ambassador is someone that shares the class with their communities and their chats and their social media. And in order to become an ambassador, it's so easy. You just reach out to me, and I will anoint you to be an ambassador. And an ambassador gets a lot of merits of sharing the class and sharing Torah and light into the world. And we all want to be an extra light. And I want to say thank you to my dear husband for taking care of all the tech and helping us with the YouTube channel. Please subscribe if you didn't yet. And I want to say thank you to all of the viewers that come on weekly. And thank you for the feedback. We love it. And may we merit to see the coming of Mashiach very, very soon.
Amen.
So thank you for being here.